Good morning, everybody. Today is going to be a great day. It's a kitchen day, so welcome back to my kitchen. I'm going to be making bread and canning tomatoes that I had frozen. So I hope you enjoy. Come along with me. This bread recipe is a new recipe for me, so it'll be an experiment. But what I'm hoping for is that it will be light and fluffy sandwich bread and not dense and heavy and crumbly. I think this recipe will give me that, but we will see, and I will show you how it turns out. Alright, so here are our ingredients for the bread. I am using this white whole wheat flour. It is made from the white wheat berry rather than the red wheat berry. It tends to be lighter. The red tends to be heavier, so I think that's been some of my issue in the flour that I've chosen. I've got water over here, I've got some oil, and I'm using maple syrup for my sweetener to activate the yeast. And of course I've got the yeast here, the salt, and I've got a 1/4 cup each of sunflower seeds and walnuts. I thought that was an interesting twist on the recipe, but I ground them up so that they wouldn't be whole in the bread. So what seems super easy about this recipe is that you throw all of the ingredients together and you mix it until you have a shaggy dough. So this is going to be interesting. I've never done one like this, but that's what the recipe calls for. And now I think I'm going to just use my hands to mix this. I think that'll go better. I think we kind of have a shaggy dough here, and then I'm supposed to just let it rest for 20 minutes and then knead after that until it's smooth. So I'm going to set this to the side and cover it, and I'll be back in 20 minutes. The recipe that I'm using today is the King Arthur's 100% whole wheat sandwich bread recipe. I just looked up recipes online, happened to find this one, and it's the flour that I have, so I thought that was pretty interesting. I was just kind of noticing, you can see in the camera, I went to the beach this past Sunday and it's starting to peel, so if you see that a little bit, that's why I'm molting. Alright, the 20 minutes is up. I forgot to turn on the camera again. What I did was I just kneaded it a little bit, made it into a nice ball. I put some olive oil on it just to make sure it doesn't stick to the bowl while it rises. It says to let rise 1 to 2 hours. I'm going to try it at 1 hour, just of course until it doubles in size. This is what it looks like. It's a semi-smooth dough. I guess it can't be fully because of the seeds, but it looks pretty good. Just going to keep this covered for the next hour. I have my timer on, just on the stove, out of the way. In the meantime, I am going to process my tomatoes. These have been thawing between the counter and the refrigerator for the past few days. I had frozen them because I was not able to get to them to process right away. What I'm doing, I have a bowl for my skins. I'm separating out the skins. I'm leaving the seeds. I don't mind having seeds in there. And then I'm putting the skinned tomatoes over here. Most of these skins come off really easily, which is nice. If you freeze the tomatoes before processing, just raw, then when you take them out of the freezer, obviously you can skip the whole blanching process. I will warn you though that doing it this way, your hands will freeze. So I'm just gonna have to do this at my own pace in a time frame where my hands can handle the freezing water, because remember these were thawed out and they're still quite cold. All of this juice in here is from the tomatoes themselves, and I guess from whatever ice, but I'm gonna try to save this juice. Whew, that's really, really cold. Maybe I should drain them off. I think I'm gonna drain them off. That's what I'm gonna do, because this cold water is making it very difficult. All right, I've drained some of this juice off, so that should help. You can hear the juice over there draining. But I think otherwise it's pretty simple. Now, I'm not planning on cooking these down into a sauce or anything, but I probably will put them on the stove and bring them to at least warm before I can them, because I don't want them to be freezing when I go to process them. Ooh, that's a bad seed stain. Yeah, I don't want the temperature difference to be way different, so that's what I will probably do. I think I'm gonna do the raw pack method. That's what it's called. I have finished peeling all of the tomatoes. I put them back in this red pot and added some more of the juice that I strained off while I was peeling. I just added some water back, and I am heating it just to get it at least to room temperature, so that it's not just so cold going into the jars before I can. I've taken the tomatoes off the stove. They are just, well, they're around room temperature, maybe just a tad warmer. And I have my water coming to a simmer so that I can lower my jars into simmering water. While all the water was heating up on the stove, I went ahead and put hot water in my jars and lids, and to get them prepped to fill, so that you don't want cold jars, or I guess you don't really want room temperature jars when you're adding hot water and then putting the whole thing into simmering or boiling water. Well, it looks like it's doubled. Alright, so this dough has been rising for a little over an hour and a half. It says to gently deflate the dough and form it into my bread pan. So that's what I'll do now. I've gone ahead and greased this. This is a 9x5. I'm just gonna gently deflate it. Scruffy. It's alright, buddy. What I have been in the habit of doing is spreading it out and then taking it and rolling it. Measure my pan there. Hope that rises properly. Okay, it is time to check this loaf. It has been sitting for 2 hours, maybe a little over. And wow, it did grow. It grew up. I've always had trouble getting a recipe that goes like above this pan very far, but by far this has been the best so far. So I've preheated the oven to 350 and it says to cook it, bake it 40 to 45 minutes. So that is what I will do. And here are the tomatoes. I got them out of the pots just a little while ago. Looks like I could have stuffed them a little bit more, but once they've cooled for about 12 hours, I'll move them. I won't move them until they've had a chance to seal. But when you shake them up, they all mix back up together and it all looks like it should. So I'm excited that those seem to be turning out well. With the tomatoes that would not fill a jar, what I'm going to do is I'm going to cook that down and turn that into a spaghetti sauce, or add that to my spaghetti sauce for tonight. So I think I'm going to do pasta. Anyway, thank you so much for joining me today. I hope you've had fun. I hope it was informative. Put a like down and a comment, suggestions, anything, feel free. Thank you so much. God bless. Alright, here is our bread. I pulled it out of the pan and I'm getting ready to slice it.